There is a major difference between wanting something and actually being mentally, emotionally, and physically ready to handle having or being that thing. And when it comes to your mental health, it is no different. You might want really great mental health, but are you actually doing the things that are going to allow you to have that?
Mental health is not a static experience. It is something that is dynamic and evolving. And the big question that we should all be asking ourselves, in my opinion, is how well are we protecting our mental health? And how well is our mental health advocating for the version of ourselves that we absolutely aspire to be in this world?
Hey, everybody, what is going on? It's Bianca.
Welcome back, Evolvers. It's Emilia, and I hope that we're all settling into August. It is a chaotic time for most of us. A lot of people are getting ready to go back to school, get their kids back to school. It's a busy season where we're all trying to get in our pay time off or get in our vacation time. It's a chaotic time and it's a beautiful time. And I think that it is a really important time to check in on how well we are all actually protecting our mental health. So today's episode is going to be some personal shares, some personal stories, and a quick pulse check on our own practice of this. Because one thing that we do know at Evolve is that, like I said in the beginning, mental health is not just the state where we arrive at and all of a sudden we have like this incredible mental health. Just like our physical health, it is a practice. It is something that every single day, it is dynamic, it is flowing, and it is evolving at every single stage of our life, with every season, even on the week to week, the day to day, and for some on pretty much on the hour to hour, right? So I want to get us started with something that so when we're recording this, it will be well before this episode launches, and there's a morning that I had, so it was yeah, I had rolled out of bed. And every good story starts with that, right? Rolled out of bed and excited to get after it. And what I have been doing in the morning and really loving is, first thing when I wake up, it is my journaling practice. And
It's not
my
Twinkle
journaling
Toes
practice-
anymore?
Well, yeah, that's when I'm in bed. It's Twinkle Toes is when I'm in bed. We're talking about after I roll out of bed. Let's be real. But I appreciate you mentioning that. For anyone who wants context to that, go back a couple episodes way back when. But seriously, I had this moment. I was on our couch journaling, and the sunrise is coming up, and I'm just looking out at like our bird feeder and the cardinals that are flying into the bird feeder, not into it, but like for food. And I'm looking around at our beautiful home and just in this beautiful moment of gratitude. And my journaling practice, for those of you who might have not heard about it before or whatnot, but it really does start, the first thing that I check in on is my mood, my current state. And so at that point, I will have had like 250 days consistent checking in on my emotions and logging my emotions for my own emotional attunement. But in my physical gratitude, or in my physical journal, there's these little emojis that essentially I check off that are the general state of my mood and my well-being. And for the most part, it is happy and joyful and fulfilled and excited and eager. And there's very few mornings where I'll wake up that is like angry, disgust, like more of the low valence emotions. And then from there, I'll log in what my sleep score was, what type of exercise I have to look forward to today. And then I'll write 3 gratitudes. Usually within those 3 gratitudes, it will be one that's kind of bigger for the world at large. So like, for example, I'm grateful that we live on an earth where we can breathe oxygen, right? That would be one of my biggers as an example. Then number 2 will usually be something that's a little bit more zoomed in. So this might refer to like the team or my relationship with Alan or something that is near and dear, close to my heart. So for example, I'm really grateful for the team at Evolve and how committed they are to the mission. right? And then number 3 will usually have something to do with none other than me, myself, and I. And so an example like that will be like, I'm really grateful for the parts of me that allow this everything that I'm living in to have been possible for me. So I was in that moment, B, and I looking around at the bird feeder, and I'm like, oh my God, I think I've been journaling for like 20 years now. I was like, I said to Alan, because he had come out of the bedroom, I'm like, babe, I kind of feel like this like old dinosaur when I think about my journaling practice, like just 20 years of doing this practice. Like, and it kind of hit me where I have been proactively journaling every single day for the last at least 20 years of my life. And my journaling practice, though it's evolved over time, it has been something that I've done every single day for me, for my mental health, for my well-being, as a practice that no matter what comes up, no matter what comes into my life, it is something that I consistently am doing in an effort to protect the garden that is my mental health. And when I had that moment for me, at least, B, it was like, all right, that's awesome. That's pretty cool. And I was just going through kind of the chapters, the seasons of my life, and saying to myself, like, oh my goodness, my mental health is where it is today because of the fact that this has been a practice that I have done, that over time the compound effect has allowed this mindfulness, this garden of self-awareness, this reflection loop within my day-to-day life to have been possible. And so when we talk about this question, right, my practice is going to look different for so many people. Another thing is going to the yoga mat and making sure that my breath work or my mobility or my meditation, it's evolved over the years, but going to these practices proactively as habits on the day-to-day to make sure that I am gardening, looking at my mind, looking at my mental health, just like a garden. And it's these practices that help to make sure that our mental health is having a pulse check, that we are, quote unquote, stepping on that metaphorical scale, right? That we are checking in on where we actually are with our mental health. And, you know, as I zoom out to the 30,000 foot view, it's those practices that have cultivated this version of Emilia. So my question to all of us, right? The bigger statement is that it starts with us, right? We can't have wonderful mental health, healthy pulses and healthy pulse checks if we're not doing those little things, being, whatever it is, if we're not practicing what it is that helps to garden your mental health. So there's so many things here that we could go and talk about. And for anyone that's joining us in this conversation, I want us to reflect about how we are on our own accord, consciously, proactively, consistently protecting our mental health. Because there will be days, there will be times, there will be seasons, there will be chapters where our mental health, it's so easy to have the back burner or be put at the back burner, for us to not be proactive with our mental health, for us to not have that person in our corner who is making sure that we also have that pulse check. And I just think that it's an important dialogue to have, and to, at the very least, again, because it's August, headed into what's next, the holiday season, the chaos of back to school. Where are you at with your mental health? What are you doing? What are your practices? What are some of maybe those practices that are so powerful for you that you need to return to or need to honor?
One thing that I do want to say right off the bat is just having a journaling practice is not sufficient. It's an addition. It's not sufficient. So Emilia is talking about her journaling practice and that being such a grounding habit for her, but that's not in replacement of doing the real work. One of the things that, and this is why I said what I said in the very beginning, which was wanting something and actually being capable of achieving it and having it are two very different things. There is not a single person on this earth that says, I want really, really bad mental health. I want to feel terrible about myself and I actually want to be, a really terrible person, and I want to be a terrible partner, and I just really want to have a horrible, miserable life, and I actually really like want to be mentally ill. And if you do, like, we need to have a conversation because that's not okay. But there is nobody that has a healthy, adaptive, functioning brain that is saying things like that. Now, that is true. And what is also true is there's only a small subset of people who actually do the work to ensure that their mental health is actually really, really well and functioning adaptively. Emilia and I, and again, this isn't about us, but we are just using us as an example. Emilia and I come on this podcast twice a week and very often say, our DMs are open, our calendars are open, send us a message, let's work together. There's free resources here at Evolve. There's all of these things. And while a lot of people do take us up on it, and it's amazing, there are so many who don't. There's only a small subset of our listeners who actually do take us up on what we say. There are so few people who are actually in therapy. There are so few people who ever actually hire a coach. There are so few people who actually do the difficult things and do the uncomfortable work. But we all want to be healthy. We all want to be happy. We all want to be in love. We all want to be wealthy. We all want to feel really good about ourselves. So where's the discord? Why is that happening? Why is it that we want this, but we're not doing it? It's because it's really hard. There's nothing harder than sitting in front of another person, especially someone like Emilia and I, and saying, I can't stand my life, and I'm deeply unhappy, and I'm miserable, and here's all my flaws. It's terrifying. It's terrifying, and it's humiliating. And when you're so deeply bound in shame, the last thing you want to do is look at another person and say, I'm hurting. Because you don't want the judgment. You're already judging yourself enough. You don't want someone, even the idea of somebody judging you, it's like, nope. You can keep that over there, and I'm going to stay over here and pretend like everything is fine until it's not.
Yeah.
If you actually want to protect your mental health, journaling practices are not enough. Going to see that speaker is not enough. Buying the book, listening to the podcast, we distort ourselves into believing that we're doing the work because we're doing the surface level things. And the reality is that is important, but it is not sufficient. That's like saying washing your car is going to fix your engine. It's like, yeah, you make it look pretty, but your car isn't running because the engine is busted. You need to fix the engine. You can't do just surface level things and expect your life to be better. You have to do the actual things, the hard things, the uncomfortable things that are actually going to allow your life to be at the place that you want it to be at. And it sucks. And we know because Emilia and I are both in therapy. We practice what we teach. It's why we come on these microphones and say the things that we say, because we are not standing from a holier than thou place. We are doing the work too. And we know how hard it is. I've been in and out of therapy since I was 18. It's brutal. But it's why our lives are where they are. And it's why we're headed in the direction that we are headed in. And it's why our clients are so successful. Because they've overcome that fear, or they worked through it enough to kind of bypass it a little bit and finally be willing to ask for help. Journaling and reading and watching videos and going to a famous speaker and listening to their talk or whatever, it's nice, but it's not sufficient.
I had this client call the other day where she showed up and she said, I got to be just straight transparent because that is the code that we have here. She says, I don't want to be here. And I said, thank you so much for letting me know. I appreciate you. And I'm so grateful you're here.
Those
Right?
are always the
Imagine.
best sessions. Those are
Right?
always end up being the best calls too. Have you noticed that?
And they are. And that's here, even, yes. And she's like, I know every single time I feel that way, I still show up and I still always feel so glad that I did and so proud of myself that I did because of what comes out of those sessions. And I'm like, exactly. So intellectually, but emotionally you don't want to be here. That's totally okay. I don't judge you for that. Like I don't want to be here either. And I do. And I am, right? Like we all have different parts of ourselves. That part of us doesn't want to be here. The other part does want the growth on the other side. There's another part that's pissed that has to do some work to get new awarenesses about yourself and has to get, go through actual activities and skill development in order to get what you want on the other side, right? It's pissed off that it has to do anything and it can't just snap its fingers and have all the things that you want and deeply crave and desire show up at your doorstep, right? Like that sucks. I get it. The brain is trying to optimize so that you don't put in any effort or work. And we had such an incredible session.
I'm not surprised.
And afterwards, we had she was open. It was wild. She's like, oh my gosh. Like the consciousness, we got to a deep level of the fact that her central nervous system hasn't caught up to her cognitive functioning and her cognitive consciousness. And that breakthrough is going to change her literal life. And how many times have you and I been there where we didn't want to, we didn't feel like it, we didn't want to show up to garden our mental health, or we didn't want to do that uncomfortable journaling practice that our coach or our therapist recommended. We didn't want to read that book that you wouldn't have otherwise gravitated towards. It's that deeply frustrating, challenging work that gets you outside of that comfort zone, though. That's huge. And why I mentioned that journaling practice earlier, that's just one leg of my mental health support system. And it's not the end all be all, but trust me, there have been days where I've been like, fuck that. I don't want to journal because I don't want to look in the mirror of how I'm not actually grateful right now. I'm being a little selfish brat and I'm not grateful right now, but I'm going to go and put in my freaking gratitudes because I know what will benefit me, everyone else, I know, right? So cognitively we can know, but emotionally, psychologically, spiritually, there is effort that we got to put into it. And, one of the things that is fascinating too, which is why I love mental health so much, because it's not necessarily fully sufficient, right? When you actually look at trying to develop skill sets and whatnot, when it does come to some of your unhelpful limiting beliefs and patterns, right? But there are a lot of things that you can do and that, quite frankly, from the science standpoint, you should be doing that will help increase your mental health. So I'll give a very tangible example. How many of us know that it would be more helpful for us to go outside and take a walk? Just to go outside and get some sunlight, to go outside and maybe go spend some time in nature, put our feet on the ground. But yet instead we're scrolling on social media, right? That's one tiny thing that you don't have to spend a dime for that.
And then complaining that we're lonely.
Right. It's like we are causing so much of our own suffering and it's just so unnecessary. And so it's just, it's so powerful when we recognize how much autonomy we do have to proactively protect our mental health so that when we really do need to be mentally healthy, mentally strong, mentally resilient, emotionally strong, emotionally resilient, right? Navigating the seasons and the chapters of stress that will come along, we have reassurance that our brains, our capacities are capable of handling that. More often than not, we end up not being proactive, and then it hits us like a giant slap in the face how little we have been proactive with our mental health practices. And it's brutal. I've been there. It's brutal.
Yeah, it is.
Right?
What are the top 3 things that you believe people can start doing today that are actually going to make a long-term impact?
a great question. Are these, okay. Number one, this is non-invasive. Number one, get out in nature. That's not going to cost you a penny, not going to cost you a dime. Go get out in nature over scrolling on your device. That's number one.
How many
Number
times
two,
per week? Let's make it tangible. How many times a week and for how long?
Bare minimum once per day. So 7 times a week. Bare minimum, to make it small and easily, 3 minutes. Start there. Okay. Second is hire someone or get around someone in any way, shape, or form that you can within, I don't even want to say within your budget, because you likely don't have a budget for this because you've been taught not to budget for it because of the stigma around mental health. But get around and start exchanging a finance or finances that you have for someone or some product, service, etc., that is going to consistently encourage you to get a pulse on your mental health. So that could be through a therapy, that could be through counseling, that could be through some sort of social work or coaching program, or it could be through like a communal service or something. But it is a mental health focused practice, and that person getting around that will hold you to being proactive. For example, I have a person in mind who is a part of a men's group, and they are mental health aware. They're proactive to gardening one's mental health, and you pay a monthly fee to be a part of the group, but it is getting around other people instead of maybe that one-on-one accountability work that he is actually also doing. But even that, right, that's getting around someone that's going to hold you on a weekly 60 minutes at the very least accountable to gardening your mental health, right? And then the third thing, I would absolutely suggest, I can't not, is some sort of reflective practice. And it would be either through your journal, it could be through walking on the treadmill, it could be like a mental journal or a mental noting of some sort, some type of reflective practice. And a journal is a great way. What about you, B?
I concur 100%. We haven't launched this yet, but we do have our Evolve journal, which is going to be launching soon. And that is what Emilia is talking about with the journal that she's been doing for the last almost year, is the Evolve journal. So Emilia is beta testing it to make sure that it is pristine so that we can drop it. Again, it's not sufficient. It's good, but it does not replace doing the actual grounded work. It is an addition to it. And if that's the only place that you can start right now, that's okay. Just be mindful that it's not going to fix your entire life. Another journal is not going to fix everything. Another book is not going to fix everything. You can't read your way out of PTSD. You have to actually go do the work. And again, we practice what we teach. We're not sitting here on some high horse telling you what to do because we want something from you. We're saying it because we've done it, and we want to help you get out of the suffering that you're probably experiencing.
Yeah. And we know the positive like ripple effect of that. We want this world to be a better place. And we know that even just having you listen to this episode will have you at least have a pulse check on it, right? And so whatever that is for you, we want to bring you back to that, right? Whether it's getting back on the mat, whether it be getting back out in nature on those walks, whether it be getting back around those people that are going to hold you accountable to you protecting and proactively gardening your mental health. Do it. Take some action, because doing some action is always, always, always better than none. So with that said, my episode suggestion is 391. Why does growth suck so bad?
Awful. 396, the best habit for dealing with stress.
Nice.
Please reach out. You are not alone in this. And we'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.
Everyone.